excuses that this is difficult, and I know it is. There's reporting standards flying at you all the time. But ultimately, if you're going to put something in the public domain, it has to be accurate. These reports are a pillar of accountability, and we have to be able to trust what they say, otherwise this cog in the machine falls apart, and the machine breaks, and the market breaks. Secondly, the complexity, like, you know, environmental, I know we're focusing on environmental here, but this theme we're talking about actually also touches on human rights washing and social washing and other topics. So there's all this noise, and there's this also complexity around ESG. What are you even looking for? How do you look for signals on the market of what is acceptable in greenwashing and what is not? So they're coming at it from a regulatory point of view or oversight point of view. There's exaggerated claims, misleading claims, unsubstantiated claims. There's a spectrum of behavior, obscuring information with shifting methodologies and terminology. This is a technical topic. You know, okay. Ooh. So, I feel that greenwashing creates a real crisis of accountability and responsibility here. If there's poor information on which to make decisions, then both the investor and consumer cannot help to contribute and take agency over contributing to the potential we have here. Financial accounting is highly regulated and controlled, as we all know with audit. You can't make a claim and not fulfill it. You can't contradict your own numbers, you will go to jail. And there's a reason for that. It's misleading and it's fraudulent to benefit from something that's not accurate. The same has to become true for non-financial sustainability environmental information. This is why the regulators in the UK and EU are introducing reporting and accountability. So we've been working closely with them, and if the regulators think it's important, then I believe that it is too.
I now pass the word to Madame Claire Bataillie to continue the case for the opposition.
Should I start? Yeah. Well, I think what we should do first is try to define what we are talking about. I think we also need to agree on what we are talking, what is greenwashing. There is more and more complexity on this topic, more and more definitions, and actually we could say that there are 50 shades of green and greenwashing. Then, if we talk about this definition and focus on environmental claims that are misleading, they can be misleading because there is no verifiable evidence, no proof, as Diana talked about accountability. Maybe it can be vague, maybe the claim can be also irrelevant, for example, focusing on non-material issues on the topic we are selling, for example. We could also focus on greener products than other very harmful products that are the comparables. There could be also only emphasis on one aspect and forgetting about the other aspects of the product. For example, a social benefit with really other environmental damages. There could be also just lies, then lying very different ways. But then, as you understood, what it says is that environment is complex, that truth is quite hard to explain simply, and that nothing is good and bad per se. There are a lot of different elements in one final product that actually make something greener or really green with this level of change. That being said, for me, what I try to say is that it can be difficult for companies to also understand the true impact of their products. And it happened to me when I was working for a responsible investor We've been working on organizing a conference, and we've been agreeing on the fact that, on this, let's say, presentation we would provide to the stakeholders. And when I came back from actually 1 month of holidays just before the conference, because I'm French and I take a lot of holidays, the presentation completely changed, and the marketing team put impact investing everywhere. But we were doing responsible investing, and they were misleading themselves in what we were doing, because maybe a bit too focused on our ambitions that were not really here yet. It then can be also difficult to transmit this information to the client, and other stakeholders, because, well, actually, as it's hard to understand, it's also easy to get people lost in our narratives. This is where, actually, I want to talk about the fact that we need to change, the world needs to change, and to be able to change, we need to talk about it. Even if it's imperfect, even if it's still in progress, even if it's not accurate, because we can't look for the perfect world, we need to make small steps to be able to achieve greater results, to be able to educate ourselves and to go and progress, and to be able to educate the clients and other stakeholders. If I try to conclude on this, I think what is important is to build new narratives so that everybody can think positively about the change we need to make. Thinking positively is really something that helps people moving. Because if we talk only about the negative side, or the thing that is not yet achieved, we won't be able to involve and commit everybody in this change. That's why I think actually greenwashing can help progress on the topic. Yeah, I think that's it on my side, and I let you.
Thank you, Claire. And I'll pass on the word to Mr. Michele Soavi to continue the case for the proponents.
Thank you, Christian, and thank you to SIAA for the invite for tonight. I'm glad to be here and prove how greenwashing does more harm. And I would like to underline the importance of having the truthfulness of the kind of information we produce, because I wanted to briefly recall you, we are in Geneva, one of the biggest financial centers in the world, and what happened in 2009, it's something that everybody recalls, big financial crisis, the world was going to end. So at least some of us were thinking that the world was going to end. But then there was already the problem. The problem was the inaccuracy of quality of financial information, and inability to account for this, and not really putting the best value and ideas in creating accounting. And I believe, and I wonder actually whether now with greenwashing we are facing a similar problem, in the sense that without the ability to at least try to be consistent of saying what we are actually doing and trying to account for the impact of our actions, we really start to be having a similar problem to what happened in the financial crisis in the 2009, in the sense that we are having a big economic crisis, big environmental crisis, and what if this is actually derived from the fact that we are not having truthful environmental information and communication that is really having a big impact. And on top of this, I would like to, underline also how the importance of communication, particularly the sustainability one, the financial one, is driving decisions. You know, on the one hand, we have a representative from the asset management industry here. Financial reporting, sustainability reporting are used to derive, ESG ratings. And on the other hand, we have consumers that have to rely on some kind of external environmental indicators to decide where to purchase their good, and somehow trying with their funding to direct the best positive environmental outcomes. And I think that's super important, to be able to being accountable for what we're doing, being accountable for what we're saying, and even if something is difficult to do, as it was mentioned before, it is difficult to measure. We are talking about triple bottom line accounting for environmental questions, but it's still somehow an open question. It doesn't have an excuse not to try to do it, and on the other hand, not to actually report and be trustful, telling pretty much the truth about what we are doing, and being transparent about it. And then, greenwashing will not be a problem anymore. So yeah, thanks for considering my opinion. I'm happy to give back the mic.
Thank you very much, Michele. Very effective use of your time. So now I pass on the word to the opposition, and we have Mrs. Yulia Koroleva. The word is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Christian, first of all, for inviting me here. When you have invited me first, I wanted to say no. It's very challenging to be in the role of devil's advocate. And then you're right, we need to be all on your side. We need to be there at some point. But then I have done my deeper research into the greenwashing as a topic, as a subject, as an issue. And I understood clearly that you are actually the future, but we are the present. So we really want to be on your side, but we really need to accept the transition, the reality check, the baseline, and basically we need to approach greenwashing from the position of systems thinking. As Claire was saying, there is no clear definition. It means different things to different people. We have all spectrum of greenwashing. We have carbon washing, we have energy washing, we have competence washing, we have biodiversity washing. I didn't even know that there were so many of washing out there. So as a spectrum, we need to be responsive, and we need to kind of turn on this stakeholder management and engagement. We really need to dive into the roots of the problem and see it be empathetic to people. Imagine a situation where there is a group of executives, they're sitting together, they're analyzing, they're creating a greenwashing strategy, they're thinking hard, and they're designing something to follow up. Of course, it will never exist. There's no manual for greenwashing, no guidelines, no roadmaps. We have roadmaps for circular economy, for ESG, for many other topics, but greenwashing is something that kind of that is left behind. Of course, it sounds ridiculous, and we need to treat it from this perspective, because if there is an issue of greenwashing, it means that someone failed, someone messed up, someone either doesn't have access to good resources, or maybe they're speeding up because of consumers, or maybe the guidelines from the regulatory framework, they're simply not good enough, they're blurry, and there's no strict kind of roadmap for action. Or maybe there are some other reasons, because considering all the spectrum that we're facing, there could be so many other issues on the way. So as a good doctor, let's imagine this case, we should treat greenwashing as a sign, as a red flag, as an opportunity, as something that should be treated properly. So it is kind of easy to ban it, to cut it, to eliminate it, to ignore it. It is much more difficult to properly see it, connect it to a different spectrum or different bin where it belongs, and actually see what is behind the scene and what would lead towards good transformation. Christian, you have shared with me many different arguments why we should be for greenwashing, and one of them was market evolution. So I actually empathize with this. I think if we actually see it, it is a stepping stone, and then it goes back to us as professionals. We need to provide support. We definitely need to provide proper education. We need to provide good ecosystem. We need to find good tools. Either it's going to be ecosystem services, I don't know, business and biodiversity program, or improvements in terms of stakeholder management. Different case will involve different approaches, for sure. But definitely we need to treat it properly and in an empathetic way. And coming back to my initial point when I said you are the future, but we are the present, we are that reality check. So when frameworks like SDGs, they will become part of our legislative systems. When sustainability becomes a new norm, when we'll have circularity and its principles all across different industries, then for sure I will be sitting over there. Until then, I will be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia. And now I pass the word to Michele to conclude the case for the promotion team 1. The word is yours.
Thank you very much. A little bit like Julia, when Christian asked